Have you felt disconnected from life, or are you searching and seeking for more connection, more purpose, more existence? Well, in this episode of A Call from the Ancestors, we are going to be talking a lot more about what it means to embrace the sacred in life. Are you searching? Are you looking for something new, something different? Are you being called to your ancestral roots? The Modern Sages podcast is a tribe of women that believe in exploring beyond the broken constructs of society. We believe in empowering women to embrace the medicine within, all with an open mind, baby. Hello, and welcome to the Modern Sages podcast. I like to use the analogy of man made boxes. If you think about it, the moment that we wake up, it's so easy to just go straight to your man made box, your phone, and to just start scrolling, right? It's easy to do that. Or we spend our day on a TV, watching TV, or on a computer, getting work done. Regardless of that, if it's, our cell phone, TV, or computer, a lot of times we spend most of our day staring at these man made boxes. And on top of that, we live in man made boxes. We drive boxes. We put boxes on our feet, all of which disconnect us from being connected to Mother Earth, from being connected to the natural flow that's being provided for us at all times. How many times do we wake up, get ready for the day, put on shoes, walk to the car, go to work or go to school, and not take an even second to put our feet in the grass or to disconnect from the boxes to bring us back to the sacredness that life has to offer. And not only that, we can feel so disconnected, or even when we're sitting in a light, scrolling on our phone versus embracing the sky or looking at the trees or listening to the music without feeling like we have to constantly be moving our mind or seeking and scrolling and trying these things. And a lot of times we forget that the sacredness that's interwoven in all of life. Waking up and sitting outside for a moment, drinking your tea or coffee or water, and just sitting out there embracing the sun can be a sacred experience, but we don't tend to put that as an energy in our world. We don't have that as something really most of the time that we make a priority. And within that, there's been this disconnection from what life has to offer and who we are and how we show up in the world. But when we go out camping or we go hiking or we go for a walk, all of a sudden it reminds us that there's so much more that is just naturally flowing around us at all times. When you go to the mountains and nature just has its own culture, it's got everything growing and dying and the cycles of rebirth that happen all on its own, all natural, that we tend to forget, at least I tend to forget, that there's so much cycles and sacredness in each rite of passage, in each area of life. And that kind of goes to our ancient ancestors and what they experienced and how they were deeply connected with Mother Earth. I mean, that's all they had. They had her herbs, they had her wisdom, her waters, her healing waters. They looked to Mother Earth as the essence of healing and empowerment and a sense of connection. It was their spiritual practices to be connected to Mother Earth, to bring us back to the remembrance that we are part of this cycle of life. There are phases and seasons of life that we all will experience. I had a journey. I did a mushroom journey with some friends of mine, and it was my first time doing anything like in a group like that. And it was ladies that I absolutely adore and love and feel so safe around. And it was so interesting because during this journey, we all had these almost like these sister wounds that were showing up. And I learned a lot about how I was not giving myself permission to enjoy pleasures of life. When you do a mushroom journey, if you do it with the right intention, of course, it can be such a huge spiritual awakening and such a huge reminder of the beauty that life has to offer. And at one point, so it's kind of like you have this space where you can experience, it's like you're in this altered state of consciousness where everything is like a lot more vibrant and colorful, and you just feel a little bit more like everything is just really kind of funny and fun. And then if you go deeper, it's like all of a sudden you're like journeying into this different realm of existence where you can learn a lot about yourself and have a lot of cool recognitions and healings and inspiration and all kinds of stuff. And during this journey, it was almost like I kept feeling like, oh, I don't want. What if I have my trip, or what if I have my journey before everybody else and then I'm done and then I'm just sitting there? Like I just had this weird fear of not giving myself permission to just enjoy the moment and to just enjoy what was going on. And it was the whole time. It was like this battle of like having to surrender and to release and to let go. And it was so perfect for me because it's something that I battle with in my regular life. And so it was the medicine of the El Niños showing me, hey, this is something that you need to work with. This is something that needs to be healed inside of you so that you can enjoy pleasure more often, that you don't have to be pushing it off because you're afraid of experiencing it. Maybe others aren't experiencing it, or maybe they will, but it was like just this constant stressor in my space. And then afterward, it was so interesting because afterward, the next morning we all had breakfast and we're talking about things. And then I left feeling very, I felt like a little frustrated. Not in a, not like it was like, oh, that was so boring or dumb or bad, but it was like I just felt frustrated with myself that I was not giving myself permission to embrace things more. And then the women that I were with were all um, a lot more advanced in life than me. You know, they have kids, they have more of success like in their household, as far as like, I don't know, just being older. And I could just see them really embracing, more of this, like this connection, the sexual energy, more just being embraced like with who they are and feeling comfortable in that space and more flowing. And I just felt like I'm just this little tiny infant child. Like I had this fear and this worry of like, oh, I'm just this infant. You know, these are like these deep women who have such great wisdom. And then I'm just like this little nothing, like that's just the human ego, like trying to pull us back. And so that week I had the house to myself because my husband was on a trip, and I just took time to feel all of those emotions and to embrace that energy of feeling like, who am I? I'm just this little tiny fairy girl who's got nothing, like who's got nothing to bring. And I know it sounds so stupid, but it was something that was so significant for me. And then, about a week later, I talked to one of my girls who was there, and she brought up the whole mother, maiden, and crone connection. And so a lot of times you'll see, like, even in the Norse paganism, they have these three women who stand at the base of the tree. And it's like they can see the past, the present, the future of all things, And then even in Hercules, they have those three ladies who can like cut the string, and it's like cutting a life, you know? But there's something so significant to the energy of the mother, the maiden, and the crone as far as womanhood goes. The maiden is once, it's kind of like the initiation of like your moon time up into the point where you're giving birth or when you're pregnant, right? It's like in this maiden energy, you're still very innocent and excited and like very much so take in a way. Like it's about me in many ways. And it's about just this innocence and this rebirth and this existence of life where it's just like you're very young in many ways. And then you step into motherhood after having children or, giving birth or whatever that may be. Not everyone has that opportunity, but there's just this next phase, this next ceremony or cycle of life where all of a sudden you're the mother and you're looking out for other people, where you're giving so much of your energy to raise these families, to raise these children, to, even if you don't have children yourself, to be a mom to others. It's this energy of giving after, right? It's like the maiden is receiving a lot and the mother is giving. Give all the time. If you think about a teenager, right? A lot of times they're like so focused on their friends that they don't even want to be around family. And they're like, why would I want to hang out with my family when my friends are all getting together? Right? It's this energy. And then you step into motherhood and you're like giving more. It's like you find joy and you're expected to give so much of who you are. And then you step into the phases of crone energy, which is when you go through menopause. And you become the wisdom seekers, like the wisdom holders. And it's in that space that you're there to give and receive. You've been the maiden and the mother. And now it's the maiden and the mother look to you, the crone, for the wisdom. It's this give and receive energy. And it's that energy of the embracing the gray hair, embracing the wrinkles, and knowing that what you have to offer in life now is so much more prevalent. You are that wisdom holder to give support to those who are in the new phases of motherhood, or to those who are in that maiden energy who are just trying to figure out life, figure out who they are. So if you look at it like that, there's so many significant cycles in just those three aspects. And in ancient days, they used to practice these rites of passage, whether it be for men or for women, there were different rites of passage. And some of them were a little bit more brutal than others. Let's be honest here. Um, for women, it's like as you step into your moon time for the first time, back in the day, they used to have a whole rite of passage for women who stepped into that moon time where all the women of the community would get together and they would celebrate and honor this girl for starting her moon time. And they would give her wisdom about welcoming her into this maiden energy of who she is and the honor that it is to bleed every month and what that means as a woman and giving her guidance and wisdom. And nowadays it's kind of like, oh, that sucks. Welcome to the shit show, like welcome to the cramps and feeling terrible. And it's like a lot of times we have not honored that like we used to. And to make that a sacred passage of life versus something that's like, ugh, welcome. Sucks to be you now. Welcome to the shitty years, right? Like there tends to be collectively this energy. And it was really cute. One of my nieces started and my sister had a period party for her and had like all the red things, all red food, and talked about it, which to me is like so beautiful and it's so fun, right? It's like showing that it doesn't have to be terrible and it can be a beautiful space, but a lot of times we think of it as nasty and gross and a pain in the butt, you know? And then it's like, so they had that rite of passage, and then they had, the motherhood, giving birth. And instead of doing a baby shower, it was a mother's blessing where they would have all these women get together who have been mothers, who are crones, who are the maidens, right? And they would offer her wisdom. Maybe they'd put oil on her body or like henna or drawings or different flowers on her belly. But it was a way of signifying sisterhood in this aspect of birth, you know. And in the past, they still have done this too. And it's coming back into fruition right now. It's like maybe everyone would make a candle or have a bracelet. And it was like when the mother went into labor, they wore the bracelets, or they wore it until after she had the baby, or when she was going into labor, everyone lit that candle. And it signified that everyone was sending positive vibes. and support as this woman opened up that portal of energy to bring forth life. How beautiful is that? They also celebrated menopause as a rite of passage, stepping into that crone energy, honoring all the wisdom that she had and holding this sacred energy for her. They also had rites of passage if there was a divorce or death in the family, where they would honor that individual, hold space, as well as just offering support. And, those are these rites of passages that if you look back in nature, right, there's going to be a tree, and this tree is going to grow sturdy and strong. And then somehow, whether it be through an illness of the tree or animals, it's like at some point it decays. It has like a sickness or a death, and then it decays back into Mother Earth. And then, it goes back into the soil and the microbiomes, and the fungi goes in and clears it out and brings it back to the earth to then support new trees that are growing. And Mother Earth naturally has this essence of honoring the flows and the cycles of life. And when we can stop and consider that each of those passages and each of these phases of life are sacred, we're not going to have them for a long period of time. That's significant. That is so powerful to remember the sacred in life. I was doing some research on this, and as far as men rites of passage, in some Native American traditions, as a boy reaches a certain age, they'll send him out into the woods for a few days to survive on their own or to stay in the lines of these four directions. And it's like a sense of protection, but it's like them facing the darkness alone and them stepping into manhood, being like, I can't rely on anybody but the divine to really support me. I have my family, but really it comes down to me. In some African traditions, which I find very brutal. But at some point they have these kids that are like stepping into manhood, and they literally have put like holes in their chests and like hang them from the huts, or at least they used to. And it was like they couldn't scream for pain and they couldn't run to their mom to save them. It was like they had to endure this on their own to show what it means to step into this provider, this protector, this energy, which I feel like that's a little brutal, but it was part of their rites of passage of like, this is what it means to hold the fort. This is what it means to be someone that people can rely on. You can do hard things. And it's part of being a man to do hard things, is what the passages were, is what they held sacred in the spaces in ancient times. And a lot of times there are some religions that do different things that bring in, at certain ages where they can have a rite of passage or been given a gift or pass down these wisdom teachings that help them remember that. But ultimately, throughout the world, I feel like we have forgotten or lost the significance of these rites of passage, these sacred timetables, the turning of the seasons that come and go through all of the things. And even in like the wheel of the year, right? Our ancestors looked to the stars to give them guidance, to know where they were at in the cycles of life. And there are different cycles within ourself. There are different cycles within the world where a lot of times we go into winter, and winter is a time of hibernation. It's a time where we settled in and we're able to slow down, to honor our body, to hone in. A lot of times we go into perspective during those cold times where we're within the walls of our own home. We're within the walls of our own heart. We're being called back into that space where when spring comes, things are starting to have rebirth. They're starting to regrow. Our bodies are starting to get busy again. And then in the summertime, there's a lot of things going on. In the fall, it's like we're releasing and recentering for a winter, right? There's cycles in all things. And when we can take time to honor those cycles, It gives us greater permission and greater strength to honor what we're doing here and why we're even here and where we're at in life. And as I had this communication with one of these ladies about the mother, the maiden, and the crone, it just brought a whole new outlook for me that yes, I may be in the maiden phase of my life, and I don't have to make myself wrong that I'm not stepping into that crone energy. I'm still here, and like stepping into motherhood is a rite of passage. And it's not something that has to be made wrong, or I hope that it's bad for you and that you hate it. I hope that you realize how hard it is. It's like, why do we want to put ill will on people? Why can't we want to bring support and say, hey, you're in this new phase of life. This is a sacred journey. It's going to be hard at times, but also there's beauty in it. And I want to help you see the beauty in those hard times. That is embracing the sacred of life. It's not wishing ill will or heaviness on someone in that space. There's so much to that it just feels so significant that our ancestors and our ancient ancestors were aware of those sacred aspects, and even our angel connections, those who we know who have passed, as they step back into the realm of the spirits, they're aware of these sacred rites of passage that maybe they didn't experience, or maybe they did. And they want to help us embrace that, to help us remember that this life is sacred, that these experiences that we hold are so sacred and so in tune and so powerful for who we are if we allow it to be that way. But how often do we actually allow it to be that way? Probably not as often as we should, because we become disconnected. We become so concerned about scrolling on social media and following the trend that we don't really give ourselves permission to co-create with power. And as I'm speaking, this is bringing up like why I've also been so silent online. Is when I was trying to build the podcast in the past, it just felt overwhelming and like stupid. Like I felt like, oh, I have to follow all these trends online to get trending, but like it's not authentic to me. And how many times do you watch influencers or people online make these videos that just don't even seem sincere because it's not actually what their soul wants to create? But it's something that we have to do to hit the market. But why? Why can't we all step forward in our own authenticity in a way that feels inspired and right for us? Doesn't that seem so much more aligned and so much more sacred in creation? Like, whoa, right? Why? And it's even just noticing the sacred in everyday life, when we're more aware that really it's a miracle that we're floating on this rock in the universe, and that we're alive, and that we have a consciousness, and that our heart is naturally beating, and that we have blood flowing through our system at all times. Like most of us don't even have to worry about having our body function the proper way. It just does. But how often do we take advantage of that, or not give ourselves permission for the sacred in that realm? Are we fueling our body with the right food to honor the sacred cycles that are going on in life? I know I haven't been as much as I should be. This is just a call and an invitation to recenter, to reflect on those sacred passages of life and bring those in more often. When I got married, it was such a beautiful day. And the night before was so fun. We had a rehearsal dinner. And honestly, that was one of my favorite parts, is because everyone we cared about and loved was all in one room. And, our families were giving gifts to each other, like survival gifts in a way. And it was so fun, and it just felt so connected. And it was honoring that passageway of union. And we don't do that enough. We don't celebrate that enough, because life is sacred and it's hard. And there's so much to it that we forget about how sacred that it really is. In Georgia, or when I was in Tennessee on my mission, they would say, we'd go to different places and they'd say, Lord, thank you for helping us wake up today. We're so blessed that we got out of bed today. And I always thought it was so funny, but I think about it, I'm like, that's absolutely right. We're not given the gift of tomorrow, not let alone another hour or two. We don't know what's going to happen. So really, this moment is sacred. This is a sacred time that you're living in. If you're going through a hard time, if you're stuck in your mind, if you're stuck in the space of, I don't know what to do with my life, or maybe things aren't working out, take a beat, go outside, reconnect to earth, offer up a prayer of gratitude, and give yourself permission to embrace the sunlight on your face. Embrace the sacred, receive it into your space, and know that you're worthy of it. So many good things. Along with rites of passage, we have rituals and ceremonies, which rituals are things that we can do every day to help us remember the sacred. We get up and we take a shower in the morning, or whenever you shower or take a bath. And it's almost like, even just imagine the water rinsing off any heaviness, any toxicity, any worries and stress of the day, to recenter and bring you back to the moment. Lighting an incense can be a ritual. Lighting a candle, putting in oils in your diffuser, making dinner and infusing it with love, praying over your dinner, reading a book, listening to a podcast, listening to music, reading your scriptures. Like, these are all rituals that can be done daily, that if we put the intention behind it, it can remind us of the sacredness that this day has to offer. And then you have ceremonies, which are not things that necessarily happen every single day, but they're also infused with this magical intention. If you want to go and have a smoke ritual where you sit outside and you light your incense, or you light a smudge, or you use resin and you watch the smoke go up into the sky, and you're sending off prayers and gratitude and support, like, that can be a ceremony. You can have a bath ceremony where you have on meditative music. You don't have your phone in the tub with you because it's so easy to get stuck online, right? But it's like, even if you have essential oils or salts or whatever you want to put in your bath, and you're there, you're giving yourself permission to rejuvenate. And then you let the water drain from you. And it's like releasing anything that no longer serves you. Ceremonies can be having a gathering of women honoring somebody, honoring one of those sacred rites of passage. It doesn't only have to come through graduation and birth. It can come through many different ways. So it's really just exploring and putting that time aside to have those ceremonies with others who you feel comfortable with, or even taking time aside to do something not of the daily rituals that you have, but can be something a little bit more significant to call upon that wisdom that offers remembrance of the sacred. It's around us at all times, if we look around and if we reconnect into that space. In our intro, we talked about the different realms connecting into our ancestors. And I wanted to take this a step farther, is we have our 7 sacred directions. So hang in here with me as I explore with you how these directions influence us, as well as how we can connect to our ancestors in each of these specific ways. So we have the 7 sacred. We're going to start with above, our star being. And this is really also connecting into our star self. It's connecting into our galactic. It's connecting to God, our higher consciousness, our archangels, really those of this high capacity, this high vibrancy. So we have above, our star self. We have below, which is our earth self. This is also our connection to Mother Earth. It's our experiences here in this physical realm. This is where we can be made known to do a lot more healing, inner child work, understanding who we are, exploring and healing different past woundings. This is also where the land spirits lay, where they help us reconnect to Mother Earth. And as we reconnect, we bring in healing and division and guidance and understanding. And we can also incorporate plant medicine via herbs, oils, incense, maybe sacred plant ceremony rituals. There's so many different ways that we can reconnect to Mother Earth that helps us embrace being human. So we have number one, our star self, and number two, our earth self. And connecting back in with our star self this is also where we remember who we truly are and why we're here and the purpose for being here, our higher soul's expression, our essence of life, of love, of gratitude. It helps us to remember that there's this huge star being that we are, and we drop into this world to have a human experience. And all the things that we experience in this human journey, while yes, it's what we are experiencing, but ultimately and infinitely, it does not define who it is that we truly are, because we are this star being having an earthly experience. So we have above our star self, our earth self, and then we step into our heart center. And as we notice that, I've mentioned this time and time again that we have these physical representations, in the spirit realm and in the physical realm, we're taught, a lot of times that we pronounce like that we passed when our heart stops beating. And our heart is that gateway. It bridges heaven and earth, above and below together, so that we can explore and to express who we are. So you hear a lot recently, this heart-centered living. Everyone's so connecting back into that heart-centered living. Well, the reason why is because it helps us remember, I am that I am. I am the divine. And I'm in this form here in this world. And I get to co-create above and below together. A lot of times when it comes to connection to our ancestors or to those who have passed, a lot of times we look for these huge aha experiences, seeing somebody or having this intense dream, that we forget the little tiny things of signs that are going on all around us. But when we can have a spiritual prompting or have these spiritual things that are floating around above us, the whole point of us being here is to bring it into the physical realm. It's to birth it into this realm, to have it in the physicality of the world. And that's, when I was talking about the book that I've been writing and the cards that are coming forward, it's all up here so quickly, and it takes time to integrate from the heart and bring it into the earth, bring it into physicality in this realm that we're living in. But being able to bring things, being able to create and put those things forth in motion is part of our soul's experience here and now. It's why we're doing what we're doing. That's here. That's right now. It's what we're here to accomplish and to explore and to experience. And it's all calling us back, remembering that we are a star self, having an earth self experience, and it's bridged through our heart capacity. So that's 1, 2, 3. And then we step outside of us. It's like you think about above, below, together. And then if you breathe, you breathe out this circle around you. And the circle is like the medicine well. Above in front of you is the north, behind is the south. Then you have the east and the west. And as we step into that space, let's step into the east, the sun rising with the east, bringing in a new opportunity, a new day, a new person, a new perspective of life. This is also very much so connected to the air, the element of air. It's connected to the winged creatures who can soar high above to see a different perspective of life, to give us an eagle's eye view of what's going on around us. And as we acknowledge that, this is connected to our mindset. You know, it's so easy to get caught up in the mind that we forget or we lose sight of what's truly important because we have so much going on in our mind. And it is here in our mind that we can get so caught up in the checklist of things to do that we forget the why behind it all. And if it's just a bunch of busy work or if it's really heart-centered action to move forward. I like to think of the mind as a tornado. And a lot of times it can be so easy to get swept up into the spirals and into the drama and the chaos that we forget what the whole point is. But when we can make our center back into the eye of the storm, we can look up and it's peace. We can look down and it's peace, regardless of how intense the swirling is around us. When we can center, connecting into our star self, our earth self, and our heart, it helps us calm the mind so that we can remember that yes, maybe we want to step into the tornado for a while. And at some point we realize that it served us, but it's time to move on. It's time to move forward. It's time to control and to know how powerful our thoughts are. Our thoughts create reality. Our mindset matters. And when we call upon the guidance of the air, of the east, we have these winged creatures who are here to help us embrace our mindset, help us see things from a higher perspective, to see a bird's eye view of a certain situation. Maybe we're in a relationship, or maybe you just gotten out of one, or maybe there's an unhealthy, toxic environment at work. And it can feel so easy to give our power away to that situation. When we journey with the birds and we sit upon the branch, we're able to look down and to see a higher perspective, to see what that soul contract was. And also, if it's time to release that soul contract, we can see it from our infinite eyes versus this realm, this heaviness that we're experiencing. So the east is the air, it's our mind. It's to see things from a bird's eye perspective so that we can have an infinite guidance post upon this lifetime and what we're experiencing. And then you go further. So we have the east. And then you step behind you is the south. And that's fire. It's passion. It's our soul. It's what we came here to experience, this life force energy. And we can call upon this fire. Fire can be such a beautiful thing of when you sit in front of a fire and you watch it. It can put you into such a trance. Fire can be warming. It can be very nourishing, but it can also cause great chaos if we're not aware of it. And so really this fire is your soul. It's your spirit connection. It's that passion of moving forward. So if you're feeling a lack of passion, a lack of desire, a lack of action, it's stepping into the south and calling upon that fire to transmute any energy that's holding you back, to revitalize you and moving forward. And having the courage to make those action steps, to burn anything that's not serving you, to reset, to keep moving forward. A lot of times people will do a burn and release ritual where you write out everything that's in your mind or scribble it out, and then you bring it to the fire and you watch it burn and be released, burning away any of that which is no longer inside of you so that you can move and you can have power and you can have a new sense of purpose. Moving back to the east, this is the power of the breath. This is where the breath comes into play and how important that is for who you are and what you're experiencing in the world. We have the south, that fire igniting new passion, new purpose, new spiritual conviction inside of you, helping you navigate and have the right aligned action steps to take so that you don't get stuck in the process of birthing new things, that you don't ever have anything new come out because there's this uneasiness or this, what if I'm not good enough? I'm not perfect. I can't do this. What about that? Other people will do it better. Well, fuck it all. Why don't you just do it? Call upon the South to give you that strength to keep going, to keep doing the thing that you felt called to do so that you can really vitalize your spirit. Then we move to the direction of the West, which is the waters. It's this great wisdom of emotion. And I don't know about you, but I get so afraid of water and the depths of it because I don't know what the heck is underneath me. It's like, oh, there could be all kinds of stuff just swimming out underneath me, and I have no idea. That's what makes me so nervous. But I also tend to fear my emotions because I don't know how deep they're going to go or what I'm going to find in my emotions. How often do we hide that from ourselves, right? And we cannot selectively numb emotions. As much as we would love to, we can't do it. You know, we had a podcast with Dana and Candace in our first season, and it was such a beautiful conversation. And she kept mentioning, you can't selectively choose emotions. You can't decide, I only want to have happiness, but I don't want to feel any sadness. Because when you numb it all. But a lot of times in the world too, we're taught that if you have emotions, you're unstable. So we tend to just numb out the essence of emotions, which is the magic sauce to life. But we can incorporate water. We can sit in the water. We can be around water and allow that to soothe our emotions, to bring us back to this core perspective of who it is that we are. Bringing us here again into this beautiful space to flow, to create, to be, and to move forward. And then we step back into the north, and the north is our body. It's the earth. It's those who walked the plains before us. It is those who came before to bring us forth this new perspective, this newfound purpose, this download of ancient and infinite wisdom. And this is our body. We have ancestral links. We have genetics that are passed down. And there's a purpose why you are in your bloodline, why your bloodlines combined, and what you're transmuting and bringing forth and healing in the process. And not everything that we have that's passed down from the generations is bad. We have a lot of generational joy that is also passed down the lines that we tend to forget about. We don't put emphasis on that enough. But it too is here for us to be guided. It's bringing us back to the core of Mother Earth, of who we are, of the cycles of life. And it's calling upon our wisdom from the ancestors to help us embrace this world, embrace our body in a more beautiful and connected and passionate way. Helping us to see that all of these things are connected and they flow within one. I'm going to read this song that I have here. I'm going to read the words to it because it's so predominant and it's so special. And it just shows how everything is connected all in one so that we can have that beauty and remembrance of it all. Earth, my body. Lyrics. I should have pulled this up, but it's just popping in right now. It says here, Earth, my body, water, my blood, air, my breath, and fire, my spirit. so good, right? It just shows how not only are all these elements going on around us in Mother Earth, and it's things that we are constantly experiencing as a multidimensional being, but it's also in the makeup of our body. Earth, my body, water, my blood, air, my breath, and fire, my spirit. I am the earth walking. I am the water talking. I am the air dreaming. I am the fire streaming into my hands and my heart. This is how we start round again. I am a heart walking. I am a heart talking. I am a heart dreaming. I am a heart believing. There's a world out there that really cares for the whole. I am the summer walking. I am the autumn talking. I am the winter dreaming. I am the springtime greening. Into my hands and heart, this is how we start round again. Earth, my body, water, my blood, air, my breath, and fire, my spirit. We have great significance in who we are. These 7 sacred directions make up this human experience. And when we can be aware of that, we can hone in on these ancient traditions and truths that have been passed down for generations and generations. They are here with us. We are here with them. We are one in this energy. And having that knowledge gives us a greater space to embrace that medicine, to hone in on who we truly are, and to make the most of this life. We don't have to walk around as wounded corpses. We can walk around as healed human individuals, experiencing this body and knowing that there's a purpose in it all. So in the next episodes, we are going to be diving into each of the 7 directions. We'll probably be exploring some rituals and some ceremonies to take place with it, as well as I will have a guided journey that will help you embrace that element, that direction, to bring in guidance and understanding for yourself, as well as how this connects to our ancestors and to the ancients who came before us, so that we can really hone in and listen to the call of the ancestors, and to change and to let go of anything that's no longer serving, so that we can stand in that passion and in that fire and in that energy of who we truly are, knowing that we are infinite beings having a human journey. These human tendencies do not define who we are, but it is something our soul chose to learn. And there's great power in that. I feel so filled in this podcast. I hope that you've also received guidance, or you've also received a spark of something to help you reignite the sacred in your life. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. And if you feel like this would benefit anybody else, anyone that you know, you love, you care about, please, please, please send it their way, along with maybe leaving a review of your opinion or what you've experienced or what you've thought about this podcast so far. So thank you so much for your support. Much love. Have you felt a special call to embrace your spiritual gifts? Do you feel this desire to connect deeper to your ancestors and to that innate wisdom within? Well, this month, in September's month of Spirit, we are going to be honing in on those things that make you feel most alive. In this physical realm, it's so easy for us to get stuck or caught up in all the things going on that we forget our purpose. And now, more than ever, we have this arising of what truly matters, of who we truly are, and how we can communicate with the ancestral and the spirit realm. So in this month of Spirit, we are going to be discovering all of that. We will be starting by addressing and debunking the myths of spiritual connection, along with what we've been patterned to believe, so that we can create a beautiful foundation for you to trust your intuition, trust your gifts of spirit, and help you hone in and to feel more confident about who you are as an individual and why you're here in this physical realm at this time. This is something that I am so passionate about. It makes me so excited to help others to feel that call from within. I have spent the last 7 years as a medium delivering messages from our ancestors, and it has been the greatest gift that I could have ever unlocked within myself. Whether or not you're a medium, maybe you want to do energy healing, maybe you want to learn to channel more or to trust your intuition, this is a perfect month of spirit for you. We're going to be debunking, as I said, debunking myths and things that hold us back from embracing our spiritual truth. Along with that, we're going to be learning about house cleansing, property cleansing, creating sacred space, how you can find pride and purpose in your gifts of spirit. Maybe you felt a little bit stuck or off or not fully aligned in yourself. We're going to be doing activations, meditations. We're going to have all of the tools and resources for you to really get the most out of this month, as well as to start the spooky season out the right way. As you pre-register for this class, you will also receive a one-on-one bonus call in which you and I will spend 30 minutes discussing where you've been, maybe limitations that hold you back from stepping into your soul's authentic space, along with getting a discount for the month of spirit. And I'll also be offering a private group reading for all those who pre-register. So please, I would love for you to join us in the month of spirit and start the spooky season out right. Fill out the form below to pre-register for our month of spirit. Do you feel called to connect to your medicine within? Have you wanted to strengthen your spiritual gifts? Are you looking for ways to incorporate the sacred into your everyday life? Maybe do you want to have like-minded friends in a tribe who can connect with you? Modern Sages Soul Tribe is dedicated to spiritual seekers like yourself who are embracing the medicine within. Now, in this tribe, we are going to be doing moon gatherings, amazing spiritual gift giveaways, connecting to a soul tribe, as well as hosting mystery school classes. If you are feeling called to connect to the Soul Tribe, I will leave a link for you in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening to Modern Sages Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us online. Blessings.